welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. Rudo and AJ coming to you live on another Avalanche off day. 2 days off in a row, AJ. It feels weird, to be honest, more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, you say days off, but
yeah, we're not actually off. We're all working, but
you know, Megan dropped the Bednar piece yesterday. I wrote about college free agents. We're doing this today. I'm working on my Sam Girard piece for this week. It is weird to not have a game today, though. Like, it is a very weird rhythm to be like,
what do I do now?
What's happening now?
I don't have to be somewhere this evening? What?
Yeah, this is the first time in 4 weeks that we have not had a game on a second consecutive day.
Yep.
So
it's weird vibes, to say the least.
Kind of glorious.
Yeah, I think it'll really set in on Sunday when you get another 2 days off.
Yeah. When I wake up guilt-free and watch
watch
Saturday night's race, because we're going to be busy during that
working
race.
The middle of the race because somehow the Avs play at 8:30. Why?
Yeah.
Anyway, yesterday we talked a lot about potential Avs matchups in the playoffs. Don't have to get into the complications, AJ, but really quick, Minnesota or Dallas, who do you want?
Seattle.
Yeah, that's a different set of choices. Sure, you can want Seattle.
Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
They both scare the crap out of me.
Really?
Yeah, they both scare the crap out of me with current health Avs.
Okay, that's fair.
A healthier version of the Avs, and different conversation for me, but this version of the Avs, that makes me very nervous.
All right. Fair enough. Not going to argue on that one. What we actually wanted to talk about today, though, was not necessarily the Avs play-up matchup, but the races for the playoffs throughout the whole league. To be honest, there's quite a few still going on. I think there isn't a team left that has more than 8 games left on the season. So at most, teams have 16 points still out there on the board. Mm-hmm. With that being said, Boston already has the President's Trophy locked up.
Cool.
There will not be a race in that division, and it goes beyond just Boston. To be clear, Toronto has also already clinched a playoff spot in the Atlantic, and Tampa is not going to be caught for the 3rd spot there. So that division is set. At least that one's easy.
Yeah. Well, in the Metro, all 3 of those teams have also clinched. Carolina, Jersey, and the Rangers. They're just working on seeding.
Yeah, a whole lot to play for still there compared to that.
Technically,
Atlantic.
The Rangers could still win that division.
Yeah, I mean, it's New Jersey and Carolina, right, that are really duking that one out.
But probably. But if you look at the last 10 and you look at, like,
the Rangers are the only one winning games. Yeah,
like
sure.
The Rangers have made up ground to make it interesting. Can they can they make up 5 points in 7 games? I don't think so, but
that's literally what it would take is 5 points in 7 games.
Well, and right now you would be doing that, and I know obviously this is what we're going to talk about today, but your reward is the Islanders most likely.
Well, with the unbelievably hot Ilya Sorokin.
Right. Like an Ilya Sorokin who has been a Vezina caliber goaltender all year and has turned it up. Like, he is unbelievable. He got scored on in the shootout the other day, and I was shocked. Like, he
won that game, though.
Yep. That's because Darcy Kuemper got scored on every time down.
Yeah, he did not look good at that shootout.
No, and it was funny because we were watching the last Avs shootout that goes 7 rounds. Jesse's losing his mind over everybody just taking shots instead of actually, like, making moves and things.
Yeah.
And then you go and you watch that shootout, and Darcy Kuemper gets beat 3 times on 3 dudes that just shoot pucks. They just come down and pick a spot and shoot it, and it worked all 3 times, and you're like, I don't know anything about shootouts anymore.
Hockey's hard, yo.
Yeah. Speaking of hockey is hard, did you see the ump cam that they were using during the Astros game?
Yeah, I only watched the Rockies game yesterday.
So they were using this camera. If you go on Twitter, you can pretty easily find it, and it shows an at bat between Yordan Alvarez and Dylan Cease. I don't know how they hit baseballs.
Tell me about it, dude.
Well, so that camera inspired the conversation of what's the hardest thing to do in pro sports. And people are like, oh, like a bunch of people are like, I think I might be able to get like a hit in baseball. Like I might get lucky one time. And there's a bunch of people who are like, I would never be able to score a goal in hockey. Like, the hand-eye coordination, the skill of the goaltenders, the ability to ice skate, like all these things. People are like, I think I could get lucky. Eventually, I think I could get lucky in baseball and get a hit.
Look, if you bat 200, you're flirting with being in the MLB.
Yeah, right.
If you shoot 200, you are one of the best shooters in the world.
Yeah.
There's a pretty significant difference there.
Yeah. I mean, every year when a guy has a 22% shooting percentage, we're like,
is he really? Can he really keep this up? Yeah.
Come on now. And then it's Leon Draisaitl, and you're like, yeah, this is for real. No, I mean, when we were talking about out east, you're talking about these races, you're talking about like, oh, what are they fighting for? Like, I know you always want to make the playoffs, but right now you're like, does Florida really want to make the postseason just to get swept by Boston?
Hey, they could be there, Columbus. You never know.
It's true. Like, it could happen. But also, as people love to point to that as like a, hey, you never know. But also, Victor Hedman was hurt for that. And that Columbus team was absolutely stacked.
Yeah, they went all the way in.
Go back and look at that roster, and it's like, why was that even an 8th seed?
Yeah.
That roster was so good. Had no business being an 8th seed.
Definitely a fair point.
Had no business sweeping that Tampa team either.
Well, I mean, we'll get to the potential teams facing Boston in a second. I want to get back to your first point. Does New Jersey just say we're good? We'll take the Rangers?
I mean, no.
So you'd rather play the Isles than the Rangers? I mean, that's not a confident face.
I don't know, man. I don't feel like do you want Igor Shesterkin, or do you want Ilya Sorokin, for sure. Who is absolutely on fire right now? Like, from a matchup standpoint, you want the Islanders, because you're looking at them and you're like, we can absolutely beat those guys. But you know what the Islanders do just about better than anybody in the entire NHL? Is drag you into the alley and make you play this like
you will not come out of that series feeling good. Like, that's for sure. Yeah.
Like, beat them up, like brawl it out, like you are gonna fight for absolutely every inch of ice that you get. You're only gonna get 12 scoring chances a game, and then Ilya Sorokin is back there. Like, it's just miserable, and they tighten the screws on teams, on everybody, and they're doing it. They have honed their game. They are doing it better now than they have all year. And there's no Matt Barzal.
It's true.
So, and obviously you look at the talent that the Rangers have up front, and you're like, ugh.
It's the additions they made at the deadline. You go, wow, that's not fun. Don't love that.
Yeah, and obviously, like, we talk about Tarasenko and Kane and Panarin, Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, all these guys, right? Like,
yep.
But you also have like Philip Hedl as your 3C is having a 40 some odd point year, like,
and they probably overpaid him, but that's okay. You don't hate that deal?
I really don't. I really don't hate that deal. At 23, a 4-year deal. I really don't hate it.
So I guess like what's the plan? Does he become their 2C at some point? Because if that's the case, then yeah, do not hate it. But if he's stuck at the
Maybe.
3C, making over $4 million, I just don't
Yeah,
know,
but
man.
you look at the last 3 seasons, and on a rate basis, he's been about that guy. He's been about a 40-ish point guy for the last
Yeah,
couple of
I mean,
years. He just
I
hasn't gotten to
guess
play 82 games.
I gotta like shift my brain out of the world where the cap never goes up, because if the cap goes up in the second year, that contract's totally fine.
I even as is, man, I think that was a contract that it just made sense to me. You're basically paying you're right in that neighborhood of paying $1 million for every 10 points that you get out of him.
Yep, which is
And that's
standard.
the range. That's about the range that you want to be in. And at 23, you're not looking at him having his career year right now and going, "What a huge outlier." You expect the ascension to continue.
Yeah,
And
right. The prime is still
bringing
coming. I get
bringing
it.
this back around to the Rangers as a dangerous team, I think that depth is one of the reasons that it makes the Rangers a handful. But then at the back of that, you do have an Igor Shesterkin, who has not been transcendent this year like he was last year. What a huge shock that he's human. It was
Still a
honestly
really
nice to
good
find out.
goaltender, though.
But yes, still quite the good goaltender. But you look at all three of those Metro teams, and which team do you really have confidence in winning 2
Yeah.
rounds? Because one of them is going to.
I
Probably.
the fun team would be New Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't know that I believe in them. I don't know that I believe in Carolina either, though. Like,
Well, and Svechnikov-less
right,
Carolina is one where you're
exactly.
just
Yeah.
like, they were already struggling in this part of the season, in the postseason. They were already really struggling to figure it out. How to consistently score goals was already a problem for them with Svech.
Very quickly, Anthony, we did talk about 2 of the Avs NCAA signings yesterday. I know there was also a written piece on them, so you can go check that out if you want. AJ, did you have any feelings on Andre Pavlik in disguise, Andre Pavel?
No.
Okay, I figured.
All I know about him is what Chris Peters told me.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, you guys might be shocked to know this, but I do not spend a lot of my free time watching Minnesota State.
Yeah, if there was an Avs prospect on there, I'd have watched him, but otherwise, I'm good.
Turns out there's been an Avs prospect each of the last 2 years. So maybe next year we should watch Minnesota State.
Just prepare ourselves for this part of the year.
That's right. Exactly. If the Avs are going to give up on the draft and just keep signing guys out of Minnesota State, then we got to start paying attention.
I guess,
We're on to you.
man. Just wanted to get that in there. You look, when it comes to the Metro, it really could be the Rangers. I could see myself convincing myself by the time we have to do predictions that it's the Rangers making the conference finals again.
Ooh, gross. Please
Yeah,
don't do that to
it
me
doesn't.
again.
I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, I mean, do you trust the defense?
No. But do I trust any
Like,
of these other teams' goaltending either? Not really.
That's it's like you're trusting it's like the Rangers defense is like, it's fine.
Yep.
They're obviously Adam Fox is the truth. Guy's awesome.
You have a hodgepodge of dudes who maybe or maybe not can play defense. Beyond that, though.
Well, and like, the Braden Schneider, Keandre Miller, Jacob Trouba, a lot of size.
And
So
like it's inconsistent. Like Keandre Miller is a perfect example of a guy who can do some really cool stuff, but then you'll watch him just completely fall apart on another shift.
Yeah, that consistency still isn't there with him, which is starting to be a concern.
We'll see. It's still young, still plenty of time.
It's just it really is if Shesterkin is not hard carrying them, are the additions that they made it forward going to be enough to cover up what might? I mean, are we talking? Is the Rangers right now kind of like last year's Blues team where the vast majority of the strength lies in the forward core's ability to cover up everything else. If they don't get elite goaltending, which is always the postseason X factor.
So, in that regard specifically, I understand they're not the same when I make this comparison. That feels a little bit more like Edmonton East to me. And they don't have McDavid and Draisaitl. They
Okay.
don't have the
I see what you're saying.
unbelievable high end. But we've seen time and time and time again, you just cannot outscore your problems in the playoffs. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a really, really tough division to pick who's going to come out of it for me. So, despite that one being pretty set on which teams are making the playoffs,
yeah,
don't really fully know how I feel.
Is there an order of finish there that you think drastically changes things? Like, if Carolina drops down to the 2 seed and hosts the Rangers, do you have confidence that Carolina takes the Rangers? Or would you have more of a? Are you juggling more of a Jersey Rangers series? Because for me, if Carolina drops down to the 2 seed, I'm picking Carolina over the Rangers. I am.
I understand it. The only thing I'd feel confident in is I think if the Rangers get the 1 seed, I pick them over the Islanders pretty easily, I think.
Do you want to fight?
Is what it is, dog.
I know where you live.
You sure do. I know where you live.
You sure do.
And I look.
Bring that attitude over here. Let's shit talk the Islanders.
Something in me as a kid, just the idea of the Subway Series is just something that I love.
I do too. You kidding me? Let's go. I'd love to watch the Islanders get into a knife fight with the Rangers. I think the Islanders will just do it better.
Honestly, that's the part of this Metro Division that I love is matchups don't matter. I think they're all bangers.
I don't think Carolina and the Islanders would be fun to watch. I think
it'd be a really good series, though. You're not wrong, though. It would be a defensive clinic.
It would be one of those. It would be one of those series that I feel like goes 5 games. All 5 games are overtime, and people are like, "Wow, that seems like a great series." And you actually watch one of them, and you're like,
"Well, Carolina had 44 shots, but 1 expected goal."
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is not fun to watch at all.
Tough. It's a tough look for sure.
And is that more Carolina, or is that more the Islanders, or is that just the combination of both of them and how they play?
It's the combo, right? And the Islanders are definitely going to make any series they're in slower, but Carolina specifically, the way those two things go together.
Okay. And like we're already talking about like the Islanders. Like there's obviously they only have a 3-point lead on Pittsburgh.
Right. Well, that's it. Is Pittsburgh gonna hang on here?
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh, Florida. Like, I guess if you really want to talk yourself into it, like Ottawa.
You'd more likely Buffalo, right? Buffalo's been so bad though. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they're 7. Tough. They're 7 back now.
I mean, they have a couple games in hand, but
yeah,
it's just it'd be really tough for either Buffalo or Ottawa to really get themselves back in it.
Yeah. Although Devin Levi making his NHL debut tonight for the Sabres.
Wow.
The Savior is here.
There's always another Savior, though.
Yeah. I'm so like one thing I am excited about for the off season is me trying to sell you on the idea that Buffalo should trade everything for Connor Hellebuyck.
Sold.
Even with Levi there?
Dude, young goalies are the biggest mystery box in the entire NHL. You have absolutely no idea.
Huh? So wrapping up this Metro thing, this Metro focus first period, is there, I guess, rank the matchups for me.
Like which ones I want?
Yes, in order of preference, assuming that the Islanders are that 4th team there for the matchup.
Okay. I want Oh man, New Jersey, New York's really good too. I just leave it as is. I'm good. I'm good with it as it would be right now. Yeah.
Hurricanes, Isles, Devils, Rangers.
Yep.
Okay. I think my ideal would be Rangers, Isles, Canes.
I
Devils.
wouldn't. That'd be fun too. Like
Yeah.
it would be interesting to see the young Devils team go up against a possession monster like Carolina for sure.
Mm-hmm. See how that defense holds up.
Very quick thought at the bottom of the East here. There's a very real chance both sides of the Tkachuk trade miss the playoffs. Just throwing it out there.
Don't trade star players.
Usually it's a bad thing, unless you're. I mean, I don't know. Was Matt Duchene a star? Yeah, he counted as a star for the Avs at the time, right? Yeah. I guess that was a trade for futures, though, so a little different.
The day he was traded, he was their second best player.
Yep. Fair enough. On that note, if you want to make a bunch of money betting on second best players, first best players, Jokic to go 3-time MVP, you can do it over at DraftKings. You don't think he's going to get it?
I think the straw poll came out today, and it was all Joel Embiid.
Even after he ducked him?
Yeah.
Well.
You know why? Because it's Embiid's turn.
I'm avoiding this conversation about awards that I despise with my very existence. But whatever you think is going to happen, you can bet on it over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts. When you sign up, you bet $5 on anything, you get $150 in free bets. You don't even have to get the bet correct. You
know what might be a fun
it.
bet?
What's that?
CJ Cron to lead the NL in home runs this year.
Ooh, he's already got one.
He's got two, in fact.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Then he went back to back after the 3-run jack. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He definitely could. If he could stay healthy, he's definitely got a shot. Put it that way.
It's going to be Embiid. Watch. I'm telling you.
It does not matter to me, to be honest.
I don't care at all. Jokic has 2, which is 2 more MVPs than I thought a Denver Nugget would win in my lifetime. So I don't care.
He's also got bigger trophies to win. So
yeah, and like I don't care if Joel Embiid wins it. It's fine, dude. It's totally cool.
Then
I love Joel Embiid. Go get it, dog. Rock chalk.
Oh, of course. Can't bet on Kansas to win anything this year, though. They missed that opportunity. You can go bet on that too. What? You San Diego State? You a believer?
Hell yeah, I am.
Let's go. I'm here for that. I almost went there actually, but then it cost way too much money, so didn't go there.
I tell you, I almost went to Rutgers.
You did not. Well, yeah. That's crazy.
I know.
Wouldn't bet on Rutgers in many sports either. So, just some Rudo tips on your DraftKings Sportsbook betting. Use code DNVR when you sign up. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Other terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. See the show notes down below for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700, and it's void in Ohio. Also brought to you by Illegal Pete's, delicious burritos for you to eat. There's 10 different locations in Colorado, so no excuses. Oh, I live in Colorado Springs. No, do you have an Illegal Pete's? Go ahead, go get it. Also, are you okay in Colorado Springs? You're not on fire, I hope. Stay safe out there, fam. But Illegal Pete's has got the fresh ingredients. Go get it. What?
Nothing. That was just a...
There's a big fire down there right now.
Yeah, I got it. It was just like, you were like, are you okay down there? And it's very pointed.
Just trying to look out for the people. That's all. The same way Illegal Pete's is looking out for the best taste in burritos, the best happy hours, 3 to 6 p.m. It's a great place to pregame the bar. There's one just a couple blocks from the bar. So go check them out. Go get yourself some food. Go have a good time with Illegal Pete's. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. AJ, is any team in the Pacific for real?
Well, let me ask you this.
All right.
No, let's take the Avs out of this. Just sure. Dallas and Minnesota.
Okay.
Are you picking a single Pacific Division team over Dallas or Minnesota? Which one is giving you pause?
Edmonton.
Okay. Why? Talk me through it.
If Edmonton gets decent goaltending out of Stuart Skinner, I don't know if Minnesota has the firepower. I'm definitely taking Dallas over all of them. I'm not worried about that.
How much does Edmonton's offensive advantage dry up in the postseason when penalties get called way less and their
Yeah, I
power
mean,
play becomes
some.
way less of a threat?
I just it definitely dries up some. That matchup to me is just, hey, if whichever goaltender falls off is the team that loses. So if it's Gustafsson, Minnesota loses. If it's Skinner, Edmonton loses.
Okay.
The rest of them, I think Minnesota handles LA. I think
As
Minnesota's kind of just a
as
better version of that. But
great as Gustafsson has been, how much do you think the defense in front of him helps?
oh, it helps. It helps a significant amount. It's not nothing.
And do you think that same defense, you're never going to neutralize McDavid, but
Right.
keeps him at bay? Let's say he only averages 1.5 points.
I do like, so again, I think Edmonton's firepower is a little bit underrated. I think they have good pieces beyond McDavid. Obviously Draisaitl, but I don't think you can sleep on the rest of that lineup with guys like RNH and Hyman and all these other pieces. It's even someone like Yamamoto, which I get a lot of people don't like. He's putting up decent productive numbers when he's in the lineup, at least. Eh, I I do think, even with Kaprizov, I think Edmonton has the advantage with the forward core. I get it. Could 100% see Edmonton's defense fall apart in the playoffs again, and they just lose the series if that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But if they
The
can
shitty
get
part is, like, we can't predict which guys are going to get hurt throughout the postseason.
right, you have no
You need,
idea.
like, Leon Draisaitl's on one ankle last year. Darnell Nurse is like ripped up, like his
Yep.
lower body was just torn to shreds, and so it was like really sucked that you didn't get to see them at full power for
Yeah.
that series. Sorry,
So
go on.
no, that I was at the end of the conversation there. To me, sure, Minnesota maybe an edge on the defensive side. I'm giving Edmonton the edge on the forward side, even if Kaprizov is back and healthy. It just comes down to which goalie blinks first to me.
Well, so I think Edmonton obviously has that high end of the forwards, where I think where I wonder about Minnesota, where I think Minnesota did a really good job at the deadline. Oscar Sundquist, Marcus Johansson, Gus Nyquist. If Nyquist comes back,
Yeah,
he hadn't been healthy, and I don't know. I honestly don't know what the status of that is. Kaprizov is supposed to be back, so I'm assuming he's in that lineup.
me too.
Minnesota just made themselves where they have a high end in Kaprizov. He's a wing. It's really hard to do without a high end center too, but their depth is so much better than it was, and we're seeing that on display right now. I know Matt Boldy's getting a lot of credit for carrying that offense, but it's really Minnesota's offense is getting contributions lines 1 through 3 for sure, and that's where I that combined with great goaltending and a very very good defense. Um, I feel like Minnesota's the team to beat out west that is not named Colorado. That is not named a healthy Colorado.
Yeah, I think you could. I think I would lean Dallas a little bit more than Minnesota.
My big thing with Dallas is I don't when you get into lines 3 and 4. I'm just not sold that they can compete night in and night out.
I mean, you're asking for guys to step up at that point, right? The young kids like Wyatt Johnston and Ty Dellandrea, that type of kid, to have that breakout in the playoffs. If you're Dallas, I can understand the concerns there. I also think that they have Jake Ottinger.
Fair enough. And Miro Heiskanen at the top of that defense.
Their defense is no pushover by any stretch. Heiskanen, obviously, sure, a lot of people have not liked Esa Lindell's contract, but he's more than serviceable quality defenseman back there for you. They did add someone like Max Domi at the deadline. If
Ryan
they get
Suter keeps going, man.
He's not who he used to be, but he's perfectly solid back there.
Niles Lundqvist been a nice little find for the Stars. I don't know if it was worth that price, but who cares?
Yeah, it was not.
Point is that he's been a decent player for them.
I just can't shake that with Ottinger behind them. I think Dallas is maybe the more consistent team. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
It's tough though.
So let's make this matchup specific. Let's just say one of those. Let's take again. We're just gonna take Colorado out of this because we talk about the Avs a lot. Excuse me. Let's say one of Minnesota or Dallas wins the division.
Yep.
Just for argument's sake, let's just assume that they don't have the top seed. So they're taking on.
Okay, Seattle would be their most likely opponent.
Yeah, very likely Seattle, but we can open this up to the entire conversation.
Yeah.
Just so we can have a full conversation about it. But Seattle, Winnipeg, Calgary, Nashville. As give me a ranking 1 through 4. Which of those teams scare you the most? 1 being the scariest. 4 being the team that you're like dying to play.
I think Calgary would be the scariest.
Okay, why?
That is a team that has enough talent where if they can put it together, can win a series. I don't think with Sutter coaching them, I don't think they can go far, but I think they could win a series because they're talented enough.
Do you think if that's a team that gets into the postseason, it almost gives them a second life?
Juice? Yep, absolutely.
Where it was such a struggle and everybody understood what expectations were at the start of the year, but they made the postseason. Now they're there, and now they're there to do a little bit of damage along the way. Like, does that not make them a little on the scary side there, just because it's a veteran team that has certain aspirations that, Jacob Markstrom can have a really good 10 days.
Exactly. 1, yes, Jacob Markstrom could turn it up. 2, for as much as I agree with the idea that Sutter's coaching style does not fit what that team needs, his coaching style fits the playoffs really, really well. So that's a team, and we've seen they're a lineup full of dudes that we know can go off in the playoffs. So that's why they scare me.
Okay.
Number 2 on that list for me is Winnipeg for the exact same reason as Markstrom. If Connor Hellebuck is a little bit rested and sorts it out, that dude can just steal a series.
Even with all the stuff going on for that team right now.
Yep.
You literally have a head coach rolling his eyes at his star players' post-game comments.
Connor Hellebuck scares me more than the other 2 teams on this list. That's all it is. I'm not afraid of Seattle or Nashville at all.
Why?
I mean, Nashville, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think they're a better playoff team than they were last year.
Roman Josi is on Earth this year.
Yeah. And we saw them just completely not be competitive against Colorado in the playoffs last year. I just don't think they are built correctly to be competitive in the playoffs.
Okay.
Seattle's fun, but they have no goaltending.
Yeah, which your Hackstall, which means we're fighting anyway. But you're Hackstall. Who's starting game 1 for you?
You feel horrible no matter what. Literally, Philip Grubauer is an 889. Martin Jones has an 888 right now.
Confidence, baby.
And
so the answer
like,
is Chris Treacher?
how healthy even is he? But even beyond that, even beyond the obvious thing of who's their goalie, it's the same thing that we've talked about with Carolina. I talked about this with Jesse a little bit the other day. Who's the guy on that team? I get Matty Beniers is having a good year, but he's not having a I'm the man level year.
He's having a 50-point rookie season. He's a good player. He should win the Calder.
Yeah.
The postseason is different.
Right. Their leading scorer is Vince Dunn, which, great, awesome. Vince Dunn is amazing.
Good for you, Vince Dunn.
He can't be the guy. And obviously, Berkey's injury issues have kept him out a lot, and even his production isn't really superstar level. It's just very good. The combination of the goaltending and not having the guy on that team, they feel like a team that loses in 5. Okay. And let's be honest, that franchise has a little bit of the just happy to be here vibe.
Oh. After last year where they went 82 games without scoring a single goal, yeah. I do think that they are probably pretty pleased to just be part of the conversation.
So, I think, honestly, I think Seattle might even scare me less than Nashville. Like, it might be Nashville 3, Seattle 4.
Well, and if there's one thing about Nashville that you know that they have that Seattle doesn't, it's UC Saros.
Yep.
And he's healthy this time around. For now.
So confident of you.
Well, I say that because, like, didn't he get hurt like game 81 or something last? Like, he got hurt like right at the end. He got hurt, and it really sucked.
Sucks to suck, as they say.
Too true. I just with Nashville, you are just like they sold at the deadline. They have no Matthias Ekholm on that defense, and it's not like they replaced him. I mean, they replaced him with Tyson Barrie, and in the regular season, you can get away with that.
Not the playoffs.
In a postseason, Tyson Barrie gets targeted.
Yep.
Tyson Barrie gets on the ice, and the opposing coach goes, "Send my top line out." Every single time.
To our resident Wild fan, if you guys don't start Gus, you're throwing in the playoffs.
Seriously, it's got to be Gus's job. How many times are we going to see this mistake get made with Marc-Andre Fleury? How many series does that man need to get pulled from before we just accept that
he just doesn't have it anymore?
You got to give it to Gus.
Yep. I don't think that one's a hard decision. I'll leave it that way.
And look, if you get into game 3 and Gus has not been any good and he's throwing, you switch.
Totally. You have that in your back pocket.
Yeah, you do exactly what St. Louis did last year with Ville Husso.
Yep.
You start that guy who was the obvious guy to start it, and then if you need to make a change, you make a change and hope it goes well.
We'll talk about this after the break, but we have not talked very much about Vegas in this segment. Just throwing it out there.
Well, so Logan Thompson's hurt again.
Yep.
We don't know what's up with Mark Stone, but it looks like the rest of their guys, I believe, I say this, but I actually don't know what happened last night in the NHL. But I believe their guys are like set to be ready to go for postseason. I know Riley Smith has been out. I don't know if they've suffered. Again, I don't know what happened last night, so this could change. But assuming no Mark Stone, and I guess even if Logan Thompson's in net,
this is the correct answer.
Do you take Vegas over either Edmonton or LA?
I definitely don't over Edmonton. I don't know about LA.
Let's do this actually. So let's do let's save this for third period.
Sure.
Let's say Vegas for the third pick, because I think this could be a really interesting conversation.
No matter what team you're a fan of, even if this has made you mad, you can get a great sports merch over at FOCO. Go to FOCO.com today. Use code DNVR to get 10% off your order. Highly recommend their bobbleheads. It's kind of dope that we live in an era where you can just go to a website and get bobbleheads of like whatever sports team you want. Like not that long ago, it was like if you weren't there at the arena on bobblehead night, sorry, you just don't get one. Like,
I mean, I really wanted to get Z one of the like Charlie Blackman like Star Wars Day,
yeah,
like the really special edition ones.
Like there's literally 5,000 in existence, and that's it.
Yeah,
Well,
they
you
end up
know,
in trash cans somewhere.
you'll have to settle for the FOCO ones, which isn't really settling. I mean, they have dope merchandise. Even if bobbleheads aren't your thing, they've got sports apparel officially licensed for all major sports teams in the United States. They've got cool stuff like the hoodie cloth. It's like a hoodie, but it's like super long. It goes down to your knees. It's like a blanket.
Yeah,
but it's
the
got a
hoodie
hood.
blanket.
Yeah, hoodie blanket. Sure. Love those personally because I'm a lazy who sits on the couch all day and likes being warm and toasty. Also have other stuff: pins, Crocs, polo shirts, you name it. They got you covered with FOCO. So go jump on FOCO.com. Use the DNVR code for that 10% off today. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I just don't believe in anyone in the bottom of the West.
Okay, so they've been doing this to you all show. Vegas. Rank the matchups in order of difficulty for them. 1 being the most difficult, 4 being the easiest, between Seattle, Winnipeg, Calgary, and Nashville.
Okay, I still think Seattle's the easiest.
Specifically for Vegas?
For everybody. I just don't think they're that good.
Okay.
I boy, I think I might, compared to what I did for the Central, I think I might swap Winnipeg and Nashville for them. And then I'd still be very afraid of Calgary. I mean, not very afraid. That's overselling it.
Relative.
Yeah.
Of 4 deeply flawed wildcard teams, you're like,
right. Yeah.
they bother me the most.
Yeah. Right. That's a better way to put it. Yeah.
All right.
I just don't. And this is going back into their history too much. But how many times have we seen Vegas when they're in the playoffs just hit the wall and all of a sudden they can't score anymore?
They can't score goals. Yeah.
Yep.
It's happened under 2 head coaches.
Yep.
A lot of the same core still. Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, Riley Smith, Mark Stone. A lot of the same cats that have been here for a while now. And, with the added bonus of Chandler Stevenson suddenly looks terrible.
Which is weird. He played exactly long enough for me to be convinced, like, all right, I guess this is just who he is.
Like 3 years now, that guy has been rock solid and a huge feather in Vegas's cap, and now all of a sudden he's just like, I'm not very good. he's their own Evan Rodriguez, man.
And they do have Vegas. Does have a similar issue to a team like Seattle or a team like Carolina to a lesser extent. Jack Eichel's for real, right? But do they really have that dude? Especially with Mark Stone out, like.
Well, and even when Mark Stone's healthy, go look at his playoff runs.
Yep.
He's a great two-way guy, but that's the thing about great two-way guys.
Yep.
Is that you're almost always talking about how great their defense is in some form, and their offense never can get really, really good. Like, look at Patrice Bergeron. You know, guys like that. We talk about great two-way guys, and almost always it's because the offense is the more limited of the two sides, where their
It's
defense is
true.
exceptional.
Yep.
And you look at Mark Stone, he's an unbelievable defensive winger. You look at Val Nichushkin, unbelievable defensive winger. Where does the rest of his game need to catch up? It's the offense.
Well, and you look at the depth of their forward core, and there's not a ton of juice there.
Yeah, like they're hoping for what? That Ivan Barbashev rediscovers last year's regular season form,
Yeah.
and the rest of his career is the anomaly, and he can get back to that.
If you're looking for depth production, you're hoping for quality out of Carrier, and you're going to get whatever you get out of a Paul Cotter.
If he's even in the lineup.
Right. How much does Phil Kessel have left in the tank? You know, there's just there's a lot of question marks in the bottom half of that forward core.
Well, and Kessel and Stevenson have been playing together and just not clicking.
Yeah. It's interesting. We've talked about this before, but it does feel like Vegas is the team that has already fallen off the cliff. They just don't know it yet.
We said that about Boston last year too.
And you know what? They grappling hooked back onto the cliff and slingshotted to the top, but
very athletic of them. Well, and I mean, you know, Boston also got 1 and 2 C's for like $4 million or something.
Right. So. It's some team friendly deals, and again, regardless of how the playoffs go, Boston isn't running this one back.
Yeah, for sure. They went hard at the deadline for a reason.
Yep.
They understood the math. They understood where they were. They saw the ages of their guys, and they were like, "This is it."
All right.
But for Vegas, do you think this is it for Vegas, or do you think that I think probably have another one or two?
I think this is the beginning of the end. I think if they wanted to, they could continue making the playoffs for the next couple of years, but it would be flameouts in the second round or earlier.
I know that this is going to be premature because we still have the rest of this season to finish and then the entire off season. But I think it's interesting that you're saying they could probably continue to make the postseason, you know, moving forward. Is because my question is, really?
Yeah,
because look at that Pacific Division right now. Okay,
I hear you. I'm telling you that they could be the modern day Pittsburgh / Detroit, where like they can get in, but they're not going to do anything. You're not a believer?
It's Colorado, dog. Vegas could be Washington without the title.
Sure. Same difference.
Sure. I'm just saying, like, if you project, you look forward another year. Edmonton, I still think is probably going to be right there. LA, I still think is probably on the come up here.
I feel the same about Seattle, probably.
Well, in Seattle, it's like Seattle's like my favorite off season. Ron Francis should absolutely
go
do something
ham.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Whether it's Connor Hellebuck or Erik Karlsson or Mark Scheifele, like Ron Francis should be like bulking up and being like, let's do this. Like he should be throwing bows. He should be getting a little nasty with some of the picks and prospects. He should be trying to do more than going out and signing free agents every year. I'd love to see him actually get aggressive and try and do something with that Seattle team. Because could you imagine like a blockbuster where they try and go get Scheifele and Hellebuck? Man, and then obviously they'd have to give those guys extensions because watching them walk in a year would hurt. But
I mean, I agree with you. I think they're on the come up. Calgary is now in a situation where their hand is forced that they have to continue to push to try and be good at least.
Calgary, I think you and I probably agree that Calgary could easily run this back next year and be real nasty with a different head coach.
Yeah.
One that understands how to properly utilize Jonathan Huberdeau and not ask him to back check and shit. Just let him fly the zone and score 100 points for you, man. That's who he is.
Sometimes you just gotta ride it. It's true.
Yeah, but then, I mean, you get down into the list. Are you really worried about Vancouver? LOL, no. But if
Yeah,
Connor Bedard goes to San Jose or Anaheim, you got a clocking tick.
you
Ticking
sure
clock.
do got a clocking tick.
You
That's
got a ticking clock. Because Connor Bedard, if he lands in the Pacific Division, that guy's coming for that title.
how
That becomes the team that scares you. Maybe not on day one.
would it not be a little bit fun to have Zegras and Bedard on the same team? I know they're both centers, but
Yeah, of course. And Troy Terry, like, yes, that would be fun.
if he has to come out west, I'm saying maybe that's the team I would like the most. That's all. Instead, he can just go to Columbus, though, and
Please go to Columbus. Please let us deal with Adam Fantilli and Will Smith and Leo Carlson and all these fucking other guys. Fine, but
just not Bedard.
no, Bedard, please don't do it.
I gotta ask you, AJ, as we're winding down the show, I'm gonna make you pick the wild cards. Who's in?
Oh,
Who's not?
okay. I think I do have the Islanders making it at this point. I think that they're probably
I do
pretty
too.
safe.
I do too.
I
don't know if I believe in Pittsburgh though.
So my thing here, man, is I am just not betting against Sidney Crosby. That is it.
Historically, it's been a very bad thing to do.
All
Yeah.
that this is coming down to for me. Am I betting against the clutch factor of Sidney Crosby or Matthew Tkachuk? No, I'm sorry, Tkachuk. I'm betting against Florida on that one. And I'm putting my stock in Pittsburgh just because I just think that Sidney Crosby sitting at home watching the postseason on television, please don't unleash that monster on the NHL next year. Please don't do that. Please.
Okay. So the Sidney Crosby monster.
I think status quo. I think status quo out east. I think it's the Islanders and the Pens. I think Seattle's probably made it. I think the separation there, just the number of games left, I think it would be really hard for them to miss at this point. And it would suck, dude. Like that fan base is all amped up, and it would be awesome to have the Kraken make this postseason.
Agree.
So
the Kraken making the postseason this year, one, it's great for the league. Two, it feels a lot different than Vegas, right? It feels like the Kraken fan base went through that first year. They got jumped into the NHL properly.
Well, and then they're going to get. I think they're probably going to get rolled right on out of the postseason.
I do too.
There's just too many things to attack there. But it'll be a great taste of the sweet life.
That's how you make fans for life. Is hey, they made the playoffs in their second year, and we were just happy to be there, and you get the taste.
This is how you make fans for life that don't piss everybody else off.
Right.
By being the world's most annoying fan base, Vegas, where they just show up and think that they're entitled to everything because they had a cup run in year one. So,
as Chad is digging into here, can Winnipeg stem the bleeding? Can they?
No.
Cling to life. No, you think they're going to drop it?
Dude, I think getting shut out in San Jose while you are fighting for your playoff life is the ultimate locker room revolt. Has there ever been a better coup? I'm sure that there have been.
Almost certainly, yes.
The CIA's been around a long time. But watching this relationship in real time between Mark Scheifele and Rick Bowness deteriorate like this, a year after Mark Scheifele got run over by BFF Blake Wheeler in public, and then Blake Wheeler take the fall for it. Now Mark Scheifele's out there on his own, knowing that Pierre-Luc Dubois has both feet in Montreal already. That is an organization that needs a bold leader to come in and wield a firebrand and actually make some hard decisions. And they've got Kevin Cheveldayoff running the show.
Tough.
Yeah. I see Jets fans on Twitter call him Kevin Take the Day Off because he doesn't do anything. And it makes me laugh. It's not nice, and it's a stretch, but I'm like, well played, guys. Because he doesn't do anything.
Okay, so Calgary or Nashville then?
I've got Calgary. I'm going with you. I'm like going down with this Flames thing at the end of this year. I'm just not letting it go. I was all about it at the start of the year. I kept believing in the middle of the year. I'm just going to go down with the ship.
All right.
That's all it is. Sorry, that's just how it is for me. No, Ehlers at $6 million. It's just too much for the Avs for another wing.
Yeah,
You want to bring me Brendan Dillon as a third pairing guy, though?
Ooh.
I'm cool with that.
What, he got 1 year left on his deal?
I have no idea what his contract looks like, actually.
That'd be the only thing that'd be.
I just really like Brendan Dillon because Evan hates him. I don't know why. Yeah, 1 more year at 3.9. Yeah, it's totally doable for a third pairing guy.
I mean, a little retention, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
All right,
that's a tough one.
You can have Dillon if Evan can have Zadorov.
Yeah, he can go cover the Flames. Of course, he's free to do that.
No, that's not how that works. All right. Anyway, any final thoughts on these playoff races, AJ, before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean they're going to be fun, right? Because I mean we didn't even really get into like both the entire Central and Pacific division seeding. Who's going to finish where? Still up for debate. It's still.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've discussed the Central's half of that plenty. So.
Oh yeah, but I do think it's pretty fun that you're talking about going into
games
the final.
Matter.
Yeah, you're talking going into the final 8 games of the season, and we have two things for certain. Boston has won the President's Trophy, Tampa Bay and Toronto.
And technically, Tampa's not even certain.
Technically. They're fine. It will be third seed out in the Atlantic.
Yes, it will be. Yeah,
it'd be more fun if they caught Toronto, honestly. But
for as much as I have hated this season's NHL schedulers, they got the end part right, where there's going to be a lot of games that matter.
Yeah, and imagine that schedule conference on conference at the end of the season.
Yep. Funny how that works.
Yeah. It should really be like your last 10 games should always be in the same conference. Your last 5 should all be in division.
Yeah, I'm here for that. Anyway, on that note, we're going to wrap it up today. Avs do play Dallas tomorrow night in what is a very large game. So we'll have that one on tap for you.
Dallas tonight, too, in Arizona.
Yep, that Dallas does play tonight.
Let's go, Mullet Magic.
Avs could use a little bit of that right and now. So be sure to tune in tomorrow for our pregame, postgame, all the good stuff. And yeah, we appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to you on the next one.